I still remember that cold morning like it was yesterday. The hospital room smelled like medicine and cleaning spray. The kind that makes you feel both safe and trapped at the same time. I was lying there staring at the white ceiling, thinking about how much I missed my home. My little house. The one I'd lived in for more than 30 years. The one I thought I'd die in one day. It wasn't fancy, just 2 bedrooms, a small garden, and that old wooden swing my late husband built before he passed away. I used to sit there every evening, watching the sun fade behind the maple trees. That house held every memory of my life. The laughter, the fights, the birthdays, the tears. It was more than walls and a roof. It was me. I had been in the hospital for almost 2 months after my surgery. It was tough, but I thought I was lucky to have my family. My son David and my daughter Lily. They visited sometimes, not every day, but enough to make me feel cared for. At least that's what I told myself. David would walk in wearing his office clothes, phone in hand, always busy but polite. He'd bring flowers sometimes, but he never stayed long. Lily came less often. She had 2 kids, and she'd always say she was too tired or too busy. I understood. I really did. Life is hard. I never wanted to be a burden. That morning I called the nurse and asked her if she could check when I'd be discharged. I was feeling stronger. I wanted to go home. She smiled kindly and said, "Maybe in a few days." My heart lifted. I imagined walking through my front door again, smelling the faint scent of the lavender I used to keep by the window. I even thought about baking an apple pie, like I used to before I got sick. I called David to share the news. "Honey," I said, "the doctor said I can come home soon." There was a pause on the other end. Then he said, "That's great, Mom, really." But his voice didn't sound happy. It sounded tense. I noticed it right away, but I brushed it off. Maybe he was at work. Maybe he was just distracted. "Can you pick me up when I'm discharged?" I asked softly. "Yeah, of course," he said quickly. We'll figure it out." When I hung up, I felt uneasy. Something in my chest told me that something wasn't right. But I told myself I was just being silly. A few days later, the doctor came in smiling. "You're ready to go home," he said. I almost cried from relief. I packed my small bag, folded my blanket, and waited for David to arrive. I'd called him that morning, but he hadn't picked up. I assumed he was on his way. An hour passed, then 2. Finally, I heard a knock. It wasn't David. It was Lily. "Mom," she said, smiling, though it didn't reach her eyes. "You're looking good." I smiled back, trying not to notice the worry in her face. "Where's your brother?" "He's busy today," she said quickly. "I came instead." I nodded. "That's fine, sweetheart. Let's go home." She didn't reply. She helped me into the car and started driving. The air between us was quiet. Too quiet. I tried to make small talk. "How are the kids? Is Mark still working at the store?" She nodded, keeping her eyes on the road. "Yeah, they're fine." "Good," I said. "I can't wait to sleep in my own bed again." Lily's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Mom," she said softly. "About the house." My heart skipped a beat. "What about it?" She didn't answer right away. "Let's just get there first," she said. I frowned. My chest started to feel heavy. The ride seemed longer than usual. When we finally turned onto my street, I pressed my hand against the window, smiling at the familiar row of trees. But when we pulled into the driveway, I froze. There was a "for sale" sign in front of my house. I blinked. "Lily, what is that?" She didn't look at me. "Mom, please, let's just talk inside." "Inside?" I whispered, my voice trembling. "Whose house is that?" She parked the car and turned to me, tears in her eyes. "Mom, it's not ours anymore." I stared at her, unable to breathe. "What do you mean?" She looked down. "While you were in the hospital, David, he said you couldn't afford the bills anymore. He said it was better to sell it before things got worse." My heart dropped. "He sold my house?" I whispered. She nodded. "We tried to get a good price, Mom. We thought..." "We?" I said, my voice shaking. You helped him? Tears spilled down her cheeks. We thought it was the right thing. You were sick and the house needed repairs and... I couldn't hear anymore. My ears were ringing. I looked out the window. The curtains were gone. The flower pots I'd painted with my husband. Gone. Even the swing. The swing was gone. I felt like someone had cut a piece of my heart out. Where are my things? I asked quietly. Some are in storage, she said. Some were sold with the house. My hands began to tremble. My things? My life? You sold my life? Lily started to cry harder. Mom, please don't make this harder. I turned to her, my voice trembling but steady. Do you have any idea what that house meant to me? That's where I raised both of you. That's where your father died. That's where everything I ever loved still lived. She wiped her tears. Mom, we didn't mean to hurt you. David said it was for the best. He said you could move in with him for a while. I felt my stomach twist. Move in? With him? She nodded. He said he already set up the guest room. I couldn't speak. My throat burned. My hands felt cold. I looked at that sign one last time and realized my home wasn't mine anymore. Lily tried to take my hand, but I pulled away. Take me there, I said quietly. Take me to your brother's house. She nodded silently and started the car. As we drove away, I looked in the rearview mirror until my house disappeared behind the trees. It felt like watching a part of myself fade into nothing. The drive to David's house felt longer than ever. I stared out the window the whole time, my heart pounding with a kind of pain I'd never felt before. The kind that's too quiet to scream but too loud to ignore. Lily didn't speak and I didn't ask her to. I was afraid of what I might say. When we finally turned into David's neighborhood, everything looked different. Big houses, tall fences, clean driveways. It wasn't like my old street, where kids rode their bikes and neighbors waved from their porches. This place looked perfect, but cold. David's house was big and new, with shiny glass windows and a stone path leading to the door. I used to dream that he'd do well, that he'd have a beautiful home one day. I just never thought I'd feel like a stranger standing in front of it. Lily parked the car and helped me out. My legs were weak, but my heart was weaker. David opened the door before we even knocked. He smiled, but it wasn't the smile I remembered from when he was little. It was forced, thin, like something he'd practiced. Mom, he said, stepping forward. You look better. Do I? I asked quietly. Better than when you sold my house? He froze for a second, his smile fading. Mom, please, let's not start with that. I'm not starting anything, I said, my voice trembling but calm. You already did, he sighed, rubbing his forehead. Mom, you couldn't stay there anymore. You know that house was falling apart. The bills, the maintenance, the property taxes. I was going to pay them, I said. I had savings. I just needed time. Mom, he said sharply, you were in the hospital. You weren't in a position to make those decisions. We were trying to help. Help? I whispered. By selling everything I ever had? Lily stepped between us. Please, she said softly. Let's just go inside. I followed them, even though every step felt like I was walking deeper into something I didn't belong to. The house was beautiful. Polished floors, soft lights, pictures on the wall. None of them included me. Not a single one. I used to have pictures of all of us together. Family dinners, birthdays, vacations at the lake. But here there were only David, his wife Megan, and their little boy, Noah. My grandson. Where's Megan? I asked quietly. She's at work, David said quickly. She'll be home later. He led me upstairs to a small guest room. It was neat and tidy but empty. No warmth, no trace of me in it. Just a bed, a dresser, and a small window. This will be your room, he said. For now. For now? I repeated. He cleared his throat. Until we figure things out. I sat on the edge of the bed, feeling small. I see. Lily kissed my forehead. I'll call you tomorrow, okay? I didn't answer. She gave me a sad smile and left. When the door closed, I sat there alone, staring at the wall. I wanted to cry, but I couldn't. The tears wouldn't come. Maybe I was too tired, or maybe I was afraid that if I started crying, I'd never stop. After a while, I heard footsteps, little ones. The door creaked open, and a small voice said, "Grandma?" I looked up and saw Noah standing there, his big brown eyes curious and shy. I smiled, my heart softening. "Hello, sweetheart." He walked in slowly, holding a toy car. "Daddy said you're staying with us." "Yes," I said. "Just for a little while." He climbed onto the bed and handed me his toy. "You can play if you want." I took it gently, running my fingers over the little wheels. "Thank you, darling. It's very nice." He smiled. "I like cars. Daddy buys me new ones all the time." "I bet he does," I said softly. Then he asked, "Grandma, why don't you live in your own house?" I froze. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. "Because," I started, forcing a smile. "Sometimes grown-ups have to move when things change." He seemed to accept that. "Can I visit your old house?" I felt a lump in my throat. "No, sweetheart. Someone else lives there now." He frowned, confused. "But it was your house." I nodded slowly. "Yes, it was." He reached over and patted my hand in the innocent way only children can. "It's okay, Grandma. You can live here with me." Something inside me broke and healed at the same time. I smiled and kissed his forehead. "Thank you, Noah." That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. The house was quiet, except for the soft ticking of a clock somewhere down the hall. I could hear David's voice faintly from the living room, talking on the phone. Serious, hurried, distant. I used to be part of his world. Now I was just a guest in it. The next morning, Megan came home. I heard the door open and her voice echo through the hall. "David, why didn't you tell me she was coming?" "I did," he said quickly. "I told you last week." "No, you didn't," she said. "You said maybe. Not that she was actually moving in." I stayed quiet in my room, listening. "She just got out of the hospital," David said. "Where else is she supposed to go?" "I don't know, David," Megan said. "But we don't have the space. You know how your mother is. She likes things her way." I closed my eyes, feeling my chest tighten. I wasn't angry, just tired. Later, when she came to see me, she smiled politely. "Hi, Mrs. Evans." I smiled back. "It's been a while." "Yes," she said. "How are you feeling?" "I'm better, thank you." She nodded, standing awkwardly by the door. "We'll make sure you're comfortable. Just let me know if you need anything." Her tone was kind but distant, like someone talking to a stranger out of obligation. Over the next few days, I tried to help around the house, folding laundry, setting the table, watering the plants. But I could tell Megan didn't like it. She'd often redo what I did, or quietly move things back to where they were before. One evening, I overheard her talking to David in the kitchen. "She's sweet, but this can't be permanent," she said. "You know how she gets. I can't live like this forever." My heart sank. I knew what she meant. I didn't belong there. Not really. That night, I took my little suitcase and started packing quietly. Just the few clothes I had, a framed picture of my late husband, and a small ceramic bird I'd found in one of Noah's toy boxes. He'd said I could keep it. The next morning, I told David I was leaving. "Leaving?" he said, looking alarmed. "Mom, where will you go?" "I don't know yet," I said softly. "Maybe I'll find a small apartment, somewhere quiet." "Mom, don't be ridiculous," he said. "You don't have to do that. You can stay here." I looked into his eyes, and for a moment I saw a flicker of guilt. But guilt fades fast when comfort takes its place. "David," I said quietly, "you already took my home. Don't take my dignity too." He froze. "Mom," I smiled gently. "It's all right. I just need a place where I can breathe again." Noah came running in then, hugging my legs. "Grandma, are you going?" I knelt and kissed his cheek. "Not yet, sweetheart, but maybe soon. I'll come visit, okay?" He nodded sadly. "I'll miss you." "I'll miss you too." I stood up, looked around one last time, and felt something shift inside me. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't holding on to anger. I was holding on to myself. I left David's house 2 days later. He offered to drive me, but I said no. I wanted to do this by myself. I needed to feel like I still could. I called a taxi and packed my small suitcase. It was the same one I had used when I first married his father, years ago. I'd kept it all this time. Funny how life circles back, doesn't it? David hugged me before I left. It wasn't the warm kind of hug I used to give him when he was little. It was more of a polite one, like people do when they're not sure what to say. "Call me when you get there," he said. "I will," I told him, though we both knew he wouldn't answer. When the taxi pulled away, I looked back through the window. Noah stood on the porch waving. He was holding the little ceramic bird I'd given him. I smiled through the tears that finally came. The city rolled by. Streets, people, buildings. So many lives moving fast, while mine felt like it was slowly fading into the background. I didn't know where I was going, only that I couldn't stay where I was no longer wanted. I found a small room in a quiet neighborhood, a boarding house run by a kind woman named Mrs. Green. She was in her 70s, with white hair tied in a bun, and a smile that reached her eyes. "You can stay as long as you need," she said. "We all need somewhere soft to land once in a while." Her words touched me more than she could know. The room was small, a bed, a desk, a window that looked out over a small garden. There were flowers everywhere, their colors bright against the dullness of the street beyond. For the first time in months, I felt a kind of peace. I spent the first few days in silence, just walking, reading, resting. My body was still healing, but so was my heart. Sometimes I'd sit by the window with a cup of tea and just watch the world go by. I'd see children walking home from school, couples holding hands, an old man walking his dog. Simple things, ordinary things, but to me, they felt precious. I thought about my house a lot. The kitchen I had painted yellow because it reminded me of sunshine, the rose bush that my husband had planted, the sound of the floor creaking in the hallway. It hurt to know it was gone, that someone else now lived there, probably changing everything I had built. But one afternoon, something shifted. I was sitting outside with Mrs. Green, helping her water the plants, when she said something I'll never forget. "You know, dear," she said, "we spend so much time grieving what was taken from us that we forget we're still here." I looked at her, and she smiled softly. "You still have mornings. You still have tea. You still have your breath. Sometimes that's enough to start again." That night I couldn't sleep. Her words kept echoing in my mind. "You're still here." So the next morning I walked to the community center down the street. They had a small notice board with flyers. Art classes, reading groups, senior activities. One flyer caught my eye. It said, "Volunteers needed. Help with community meals. Cooking." That was something I still knew how to do. Something I still loved. The following day, I went back and signed up. The first time I walked into the kitchen, I was nervous. I hadn't cooked for anyone since before the hospital. But the smell of spices, the sound of pots clattering, the chatter of voices. It all felt familiar, comforting. There were other volunteers too. A few young students, a man named Harold who was retired, and a woman named Teresa who reminded me of my sister. We cooked meals for families in need, packed them, and handed them out every evening. It was simple work, but it filled something in me that had been empty for too long. One evening, a young woman came up to the table. She had a baby in her arms and tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "You don't know how much this means." I smiled at her and said, "You're welcome, dear." But inside, something warm bloomed. It wasn't pride. It was something softer. Purpose. After that, I started going every day. Weeks passed. My body grew stronger, and my heart lighter. I started laughing again. Small laughs at first, the kind that surprise you when they come out. Sometimes I'd think of David and Megan. I'd wonder if they ever thought about me. I didn't feel angry anymore, just distant, like they belonged to another life. Then one afternoon, while I was washing dishes at the center, I heard someone behind me say, "Mom." I turned and there he was. David. He looked tired, older somehow, like the weight of guilt had started to sit heavy on his shoulders. "David," I said softly, "what are you doing here?" He stepped closer, his eyes wet. "I found out where you were. Lily told me." I nodded slowly. "I see." He swallowed hard. "Mom, I'm sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought I was helping, but I wasn't. I was ashamed." I set down the towel and looked at him quietly. "Ashamed of what, David?" "Of not being able to take care of you right," he said. "Of what people would think. My friends, Megan's family. I thought I was protecting you, but I was really just protecting myself." Tears filled my eyes, but I kept my voice steady. "I know, David. But sometimes protection looks a lot like abandonment." He looked down, his voice breaking. "I know, and I hate myself for it." I walked around the counter and touched his arm gently. "Don't hate yourself. Just learn. Be better." He nodded, his face trembling. "Can I visit you? Bring Noah?" I smiled even as tears slipped down my cheeks. "I'd like that." He took a deep breath. "Mom, I'll fix this. I promise." I shook my head gently. "You can't fix what's already gone, David, but you can love what's still here." He nodded slowly, understanding. We stood there for a while, saying nothing. Just two people trying to mend something that couldn't be fully mended, only softened. That evening, I went back to my little room. I sat by the window, the sky painted orange and gold, and thought about everything. The house, the betrayal, the loss, and now this small moment of peace. Sometimes love breaks you. Sometimes it rebuilds you in ways you never expected. I wasn't who I used to be. I wasn't the woman who lived in that yellow kitchen or waited by the window for her son to visit. I was someone new, quieter, maybe lonelier, but free. The next morning, I woke up early and went out to the garden. The flowers had started to bloom again. I picked one, a small red rose, and placed it in a jar on my desk. I thought of my husband, my children, my home, and for the first time in a long time, I whispered, "Thank you." Not for what I lost, but for what I found after losing it. Myself. I woke up in the hospital bed the next morning feeling a strange kind of peace. The storm inside me had calmed, leaving behind quiet sadness. The nurse came in, smiling softly. "You're looking better today," she said. I smiled back faintly and whispered, "Maybe a little." I spent a few more days recovering, both in body and mind. I started taking short walks down the hospital corridor talking to other patients. Some had lost more than I did. Families, homes, health. I realized pain is a common language in places like that, but so is hope. One afternoon, while I was sitting near the window watching the rain, my neighbor, Mrs. Patel, came to visit. She held my hand and said, "We all miss you back in the neighborhood. The kids still talk about the cookies you used to make." I smiled, tears filling my eyes. "I don't even have a kitchen now," I said half jokingly. She shook her head. "A home isn't just made of bricks, dear. It's made of love, and you still have that in your heart." Her words stayed with me for days. After I was discharged, I didn't go to my daughter's house. I went to a small room I rented near the church. It wasn't much, just a bed, a stove, and a small window. But it was mine. I cleaned it up, put a small flower pot by the window, and felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Sometimes I'd see families walking together on the street, and my heart would ache. I'd wonder if my daughter ever thought of me. But I didn't reach out. I had given enough. Now, I wanted to give something back to myself. I started volunteering at the community center. I'd help cook meals for people who had nowhere else to go. Some nights I'd sit with lonely old women and listen to their stories. I realized how many of us shared the same heartbreak, being forgotten by the people we once gave everything to. But the more I helped others, the lighter my heart became. Slowly I began to heal. Months passed. It was nearing Christmas when I received a letter. The handwriting was familiar. My daughter's. My hands trembled as I opened it. "Mom," it began. "I don't know if you'll even read this, but I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. I thought I was doing the right thing, but not a day goes by that I don't think about you or feel ashamed. I want to make it right, if you'll let me." Tears rolled down my cheeks as I read those words. My heart hurt, but it also softened. I didn't know if things could ever go back to the way they were. But maybe, just maybe, they didn't have to. Maybe we could start again. That Christmas Eve, I baked cookies for the first time since I lost my home. I packed a small box of them and wrote a note. "Forgiveness is hard, but love is stronger. Come visit me when you're ready." I walked to the post office and sent the package. As I stepped outside, snowflakes began to fall gently, covering the ground in white. I tilted my face upward and smiled. Maybe life takes away what we once called home, but it always gives us a chance to build a new one inside our hearts. And sometimes, that's enough. If you felt something listening to my story, please like, share, and subscribe. Somewhere out there, someone may need to hear this. To remember that even when everything seems lost, love can still find its way back.